All right, let's dive into our first practical application. And as always, right, the best defense is learning about offense, right? So let's go ahead and learn about how basically phishing campaigns can be fueled with sensitive information found via Google Dorks. All right, so here's a hypothetical situation, which is very pragmatic. The scenario is a phishing campaign that will be aimed at state employees who recently got a raise through the budgeting process, right? And this is actually a certain subset of employees, okay, which would be confidential employees, and essentially state employees who have access to just privileged information. Now, the phishing email would look something like this. Due to your recent salary adjustment, we need to confirm your banking information. Click here to confirm your bank account on file. All right. Now, okay, so that link will redirect to a fake employee portal that steals login credentials. All right. Now, notice the social engineering or just the manipulation portion of this. Okay. Now, trust is implicitly built through the disclosure of sensitive information, which is the recent salary adjustment, right? And this information is commonly found via Google Dorks. Just because, hey, if somebody gets that email, right, the victim, they're going to, trust is just built through that of, hey, only people who really know me understand or that are involved in say like HR understand that I just got a salary adjustment, so of course this email must be legitimate is what somebody would think, right? But unfortunately that's not the case. So often and yeah, it can get kind of hairy. So let's go ahead, we'll start diving into the actual Google Dork, which you will see right here. But what I really want to really look at in the beginning is just from a very simple perspective, just the logical operators involved in basically in Google Dorks or just Google searches, right, that you can leverage. So we can see the parentheses right here, right? And these are just logical groupings, and you usually leverage these with the search operators, right, which are seen here. Now, I'd highly recommend to use these logical groupings whenever possible. Without it, you can get some unexpected results. So, and also you will see the or operators right here, or you can literally just do an uppercase or, right? Or. So also know that if there isn't an explicit or right here, an and is implied. So if you're just Googling, right, this would be an and would be between all of these search terms, which makes sense. And also know that adjacent search operators, right, so these guys and these guys, there's an implicit and between them as well. Okay, great. All right, so let's look at the file type operator. And to me, this is one of the most powerful search operators that Google provides. Okay, so notice one thing. There is this, there's not a space here, right? So this is an example of what not to do. I've done this before and you get some weird results. So just in general with all of the search operators, right? These are the search operators, the file type, intext, etc. All of those search operators do not put a space here, right? Between the search operator and basically the search text. Just a little bit of a thing to remember there. Okay, let's start getting into the meat of this. So what are some of the common file formats indexed by Google? Well, these are all right here, and you'll see PDF, you'll see a bunch of these. You can kind of stop the video and look. Python source code, so it gets really powerful. Okay, so these are the items on that list were common, and you can search for them, right? But you can also search for ones that are outside of that list. And we'll see very soon that items on this list have some additional properties that Google guarantees as of right now that make it a little bit more powerful. Or make the file type operator a little bit more powerful. But you can also search for other types of files not on this list. An example is Markdown. Okay, so MD. Now, think about it. Why would this be useful from a reconnaissance standpoint? Okay, for in my opinion, what I really see there is the ability to uncover potentially Git repos that are maybe leaking information or actually have thought to be private, right? But actually aren't. Okay, so Markdown is a common format in Git repos for READMEs, right? And in general in other types of docs, right? So that's just one thing that could be potentially advantageous for a hacker to be looking for. Okay, so let's continue. Okay, going off of the file type operator a little bit more. So file type PDF, okay? So this will return, check this out. This is actually a PDF, but .txt, right? So in this case, the extension was mislabeled, okay? But Google still will return this because they're able to parse it and figure it out. This property, right, of items that basically file types or files that are mislabeled via their extension, Google will return basically these appropriately if they are found in this list, right? So, if it's actually a PDF but it's labeled a TXT, it'll be returned similar in a similar fashion. Anything that's on this list, say it might be a PowerPoint, but it's labeled as a Python file, all right, whatever. That will be returned appropriately if you are searching for PowerPoint files. Okay, so extensions on this list are guaranteed to have this special property. However, like that Markdown file that we saw before, that isn't guaranteed to have that property. Okay. Also, this isn't a PDF.pdf will be returned, and this is a PDF.pdf will be returned. Okay, cool. So let's start drilling down even further into the intext operator. Okay, so this is what's being leveraged right here. Okay, so this is really helpful for constraining a search to a document's body. And regular Google search can match page titles, items in the URL path, etc. Okay, but the intext operator, really right here, as we'll see, it can really give some pretty sweet items. So okay, so let's drill into the example here a little bit more. Okay, so what this means is that it can have confidential and salary somewhere in the text body, okay? Or it can have an exact match of salary schedule, and basically the quotation marks are the means that it has to exactly match. Now, okay, so why am I doing it this way? Well, I'm leaving this search relatively vague, right, in this first part, because to capture other results of interest, like if you narrow it down too much in scope, for example, if you made them both exact search queries, it might be you might be missing out on some other information there. So let's look at this query. Okay, so let's check this out. Okay, so when I put that query into Google, just the whole query that we saw on the previous slide, this is what I got. And I pretty much put everything into Evernote just to, try to obfuscate some of the items as well. So you'll see that with the blank when I put in blank. But pretty much we'll see these are a bunch of salary schedules. And when I clicked on one of these, right, I got this. Okay, so we see like the salary the steps. You see it's 2016 to 2017. So one of the things that I noticed that was ubiquitous through the search results that we actually want relative to just like a false positive is that they contained the word confidential in the file name, right? Which would be reflected in the URL. Okay, and also there was something down here that said board approved, right? So just kind of keep that in mind, okay, as a way of, if we added this to our search, we could reduce some of the false positives that I'm about to show you. Okay, so actually I will go back. Now, and this was an example of the false positive down here. This was basically just a state's just HR document just for employees and their salaries and whatnot. But it had nothing to do with like, actual figures of what the salaries were or anything like that. And you'll notice, okay, all these other items had confidential in them, okay, in the file name. And that doesn't have it here, okay? And also, yeah, and also that this doc, when I looked into it, didn't have the board approved or that kind of that previous thing that we saw. Okay, so let's go back here, and now we're going to try to expand our query to get rid of some of those false positives, right? So now we are going to be looking into the inurl operator, which is right here. So what we are doing right here is making confidential be a part of that URL. And also, I'm kind of hitting two birds with one stone here, kind of teaching multiple things at the same time to save you time. But we also see a board approved, right? So confidential must be in URL, but board approved also can be in the URL or just anywhere within the document, right? And we put in a wildcard syntax here to try to find items that have occurred, have been board approved in 2017, right? Which is relatively recent. Well, it is pretty recent, okay, because this is being recorded in 2017. So that wildcard is expanded to one or more words, and it's really awesome to go ahead and cross-check via the bold in the results output. So let's go back to Evernote. And here's an example when I put in those, when I search for that. Let's check it out. So we can kind of see down here like board approved, and you can see it matching. Just in general, it's really good to kind of see another board approved. It's just good. Oh, and another. It's really good to go ahead and look and cross check what you're searching for relative to the bold, and see if it's how basically that's kind of Google saying this is what matched. So it's just a good idea of kind of cross-checking what you're searching for. Now, all right, what are some of the downsides of the in-URL operator? Well, if you do things like this, like you're searching for, say, non-words, right? See, SID is like a PHP session ID. It's tough. I mean, because sometimes if it's technically a non-word and you're trying to search exactly for something like this, it's very unreliable in that context. So just something to kind of keep in mind here. And we are done for today. So looking forward to next time, and we'll start learning about some proxy log dorks. It'll be pretty sweet.